Get ready for the mother of all bidding wars. This is Danny Gould with the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Welcome everyone to another Silicon Valley market snapshot for the third week of June here in 2020. So much data to get into, everyone. But before we begin, if you are a home seller anywhere in Silicon Valley, we're talking Alameda County, we're talking San Francisco, San Mateo County, Santa Clara County, San Benito County, Santa Cruz County, wherever you are in the Bay Area, if you're a home seller, go ahead and text the word data plus your property address to the number down below, and we will get you a unique data set for your particular property to see if it is a good time for you to actually take advantage of the conditions that we're talking about right here. Because every situation, every area is unique, and there are pockets where it's actually not advantageous to sell right now. And so go ahead and text that to the number down below, and we will make sure that we get that data set to you. And you, if you're a home buyer, rather, in today's market, regardless of what area you're looking in, go ahead and text the city or the zip code, data plus the city or data plus the zip code to the number down below, and we will get you a unique, comprehensive data set, much like what you're going to see today, but way better, delivered to your inbox. All right, enough with that. Let's get into the numbers now. I'm gonna start off with the San Mateo County and the Santa Clara County numbers. Okay, and I got a little bonus stuff action for you guys today. But I'm really excited. I'm really excited about what I'm seeing here today in the numbers. If you look here in San Mateo County, we have a fairly developing story here, where the month-to-date numbers versus last year at this same time, we're looking at a 2.5% change negative in terms of how many homes units there are total for sale in San Mateo County, but an increase in 4.3% in terms of pendings. Now, if you've been watching these videos for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, you'll know that every single week that gap has narrowed. Before, we were seeing inventory actually outpace the demand, meaning that there was more supply relative to the amount of demand relative to, in comparison to last year's numbers. Now, for the first time ever, I believe, we're actually seeing pendings go in the green, which means right now there's more appetite, there's more buyer appetite than inventory in comparison to last year. Now, in June of last year, what was the market like? Well, the market was fairly stable. It wasn't a huge surge in appreciation, but it wasn't a bad market either. I mean, it was very stable. Homes were priced properly. Most of them sold, and the ones that didn't sell were the ones that were overpriced, right? So you look at this data and you're thinking, wow, there's stability here. Next slide. We'll go to Santa Clara County. Now, you guys know that what I've discussed before is that what happens in San Mateo County tends to trickle down into Santa Clara County, San Benito County, etc. And the reason is because whatever happens in the high end eventually impacts the rest of the markets, right? The majority of San Mateo County, it would be considered higher end, especially in the $2.5 to $3 million plus, right? Which a good portion of the inventory there is. And so the Mid-Peninsula, Palo Alto, as well as Los Altos, that's Santa Clara County. What happens there, in addition to what happens in San Mateo County, all of that eventually trickles down into Santa Clara County, San Benito County. So why does that matter? Well, Santa Clara County is still on raging fire. We're down 34.2%, and this is why. We're down 34.2% for sale inventory, and we're up 11.6%. That gap continues to widen every single week, which means that there is a 40% gap between the amount of inventory that we have relative to the amount of demand that we have in comparison to last year. So in June of last year, we had 614 homes pended month to date, and we had 2270 homes on the market. We have now drastically reduced the inventory levels to 1493. 1493. I mean, that is very low. That is very low for an entire county. Why does this matter? Well, it matters for a couple of reasons. Number one, the argument that coronavirus impacted demand in Silicon Valley is a lie. That's number one. So, and people might be asking themselves, God, how did it not impact? Well, the typical argument for that I've seen is twofold. Number one, the economy impacting people's purchasing power, right? And number two is unemployment. Well, I bought the purchasing power being impacted for about 10 days or so, while the stock market took us on that wild ride at the end of March. And ever since then, the stock market has done nothing but overperform everyone's expectations. In this last couple of weeks, it got a little wonky, but nothing in comparison to what we saw in mid-March. That all goes to show you, though, that really what happens in the stock market has very little impact on what actually happens in Silicon Valley. Now, I know that, you get some experts out there, experts that say, well, the NASDAQ, and the housing market here in Silicon Valley follow each other. Sure, right? Sure. They tend to follow each other very, very closely. However, the stock market isn't the only factor in all of this. And what you guys have to understand is that regardless of what the stock market is doing, there are so many people with so much money in Silicon Valley that if their stocks get impacted, well, they have other things to draw from too. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to liquidate stocks in order for them to qualify for the home that they're purchasing. That's not always the case, but I digress. Unemployment was the other big reason why individuals thought that demand is going to go down. Well, guess what? The biggest sector, the largest sector to be impacted by unemployment, and I'm so empathetic to the people that lost their jobs. And if anyone's watching this video and you've lost your job, send me an email, and I will do everything that I can. I'll put it out to my Stanford network. I'll put it out to my entire LinkedIn network. I got like 10,000 plus connections on LinkedIn. I will make it my mission to help you because I don't want anyone to suffer. But I'm just talking in general, right? And that is when we got into this, the largest sector to be impacted by coronavirus was the the hospitality space and service industries, right? Restaurants. And the truth is you don't see a lot of waiters, waitresses, bartenders qualifying or being your typical Silicon Valley homebuyer, right? And so the sectors, the people who were affected most by the surge in unemployment were never homebuyers to begin with here in Silicon Valley, right? And so we're at this point where the market has just significantly outperformed everyone's expectations. We are at the precipice. We are at the precipice of the mother of all. We're at the precipice of the mother of all sellers markets, right? The mother of all sellers markets right now. The mother of all bidding wars. The mother of all, whatever you want to call it, right? And I get this quote from. It's funny because I actually have it pulled up here. I was reading this. How the pandemic has changed. This is from Barron's magazine. How the pandemic has changed what homebuyers really want. Get ready for the mother of all bidding war seasons. Now, we all know that the bidding wars typically happen in the spring, but what happened this spring? Shelter in place. So we were gearing up for what was going to be an incredible spring market. Well, just forget April and May, and now we're in June, and all of a sudden we picked right back up where we left off. Which means that conditions are perfect for house buyers, except for some nitpicks. You know who you are. Almost no one is selling. Prices are high. Last week, in this space, I want you guys to listen to this carefully. I touched on my chat with Yale University economist Robert Shiller, who predicted that house prices in the suburbs would rise faster than those in city centers in coming years, as buyers, now practiced at working from home, seek more social distancing space. It could be weeks, so the caveat, It says it could be months before house price indexes offer proof. Okay. Well, no need to wait on the lagging data. Let's look at the leading data, right? San Benito County, otherwise known as Hollister, San Juan Bautista, and I would even loop South County, Gilroy, San Martin into that. These are areas that were, widely considered suburbs. And we're not even talking about Tracy, Manteca, and all those other areas too in the exterior. We're focused in South County, San Benito County. Folks, look at the data down below here. You'll see today's stats, month to date, for sale inventory down 23.6%. Pended sales, demand up 80% month to date. Who needs lagging data when you got this kind of information sitting right at your fingertips? I mean, it's happening already. It's happening already. And you don't need to wait 3 months for Barron's to report what we already know to be true. And that is that suburbia is now going to experience this next wave of appreciation. Far greater than we'll see in like a lot of the city centers. Look, case in point, San Mateo County, very, very strong marketplace. Also very proximal to the majority of everything in Silicon Valley. The demand there is fairly steady year over year. We're finally back up. It's a good market, but it's not nearly as hot in comparison to what we're seeing in the suburbs, right? The further down you go, the further south you go, the hotter it is. Guys, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, and I think you can sense in my tonality that I'm excited. I think this is great for Silicon Valley. I know that if you're a buyer, you're probably thinking, "My God, when am I ever going to catch a break?" And I'm right there with you. I understand where you're coming from, and I understand the confusion. I just had coronavirus, and I thought I was finally going to be able to get the house. Well, I have some really awesome news for home buyers that are sitting out there right now, and they're depressed, right? They're depressed by this news because they realize that if we can weather coronavirus, we can pretty much weather everything. Let me give you a little bit of good news if you're a home buyer. And actually, I'm going to pull this information up. This information comes courtesy of my preferred lender, Monique Stanford, and her wonderful team member, Rhonda Dalton. The two of them put this together for me because I want you guys to understand that coronavirus did help you as a buyer. It may not seem like it, but the interest rates that you're experiencing right now are once in a lifetime. Literally, once in a lifetime are you going to be able to experience this. If we were at a 4% rate, which we were not too long ago, and you were to buy an $850,000, sorry, let me start over. If you were to buy $1 million property, okay, and you were to put 20% down, see this, at a 3% interest rate, which is about what you can get it at right now, okay? Loan amount of $800,000, your principal and interest is going to be $33.72, okay? Well, your purchase that you would only be able to purchase a $875,000 house before. You can now afford to buy a $125,000 more house. Okay, look at this. $850,000 sales price. Look at this number. 4% interest rate. Your principal interest is $32.46. Bump it up to $900, $34.37. So somewhere in that, in that is about $875. You're at that same $33.72 that you would have qualified for at $1 million with the current interest rate. So your purchasing power, in essence, at this point, is 10% greater, right? Or look at it this way. If the housing market were to depreciate now, right? Let's say that you're right, Mr. Buyer, that the housing market, that something is going to happen, right? Something's going to happen. You're finally going to get your day. the housing market dips 15%, and interest rates rise as assuredly they will, you're still paying pretty much the same price monthly, right? So you can't just focus on the pricing here for everyone. We have to focus on the monthlies as well, because what does it really matter, right? Is for lower price and higher monthlies, it doesn't make any sense, right? So buyers that are sitting at home right now and they're thinking, when am I ever going to catch a break? The break is here. You have the best interest rates that you're ever going to get in your life. Take advantage of it, right? Because you will be kicking yourself twice in 6 months if you don't. Say, my gosh, the housing market's appreciated. The house I was looking for down the street, is worth 10% more than it was just 6 short months ago, and now interest rates are up again. So lots to think about, I know. And if you're a home seller, oh my gosh, don't. All this data, all this information should do is get you off whatever, wherever you are. It should really get you motivated and make you think, right? Like, is it going to get better? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have the answer for you, but all I know is this, is that when I look at the market and when a seller approaches me and says, it's now a good time, what I really want to focus on is, do you have the leverage, right? Because when you have the leverage in the market, you can set yourself up for massive success. And right now, as a home seller in Silicon Valley, you have the leverage. Take advantage of it. This is Danny Gould, everyone, with the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Like I mentioned before, if you have any questions at all, any particular questions about any area, zip code, neighborhood, any data that you just saw right now specific for the neighborhood that you're looking in, go ahead and text the word data to the number down below for a unique data set for your unique situation. This is Danny Gould, everyone, with the Selling Silicon Valley Group, and I will catch all of you in the next video.